Okay, we're on study guide 3. We're going to wrap up with problems 4, 5, and 6. So for number 4, a cable makes a 39-degree angle with ocean floor and it's 30 meters long. How deep is the cable to the nearest tenth of a meter? So here's a representation of this cable coming from a little ship. It's going to the ocean floor, so that's 30 meters. It forms this 39-degree angle. That's a 9 in there. And it wants to know how deep. So that's like an anchor drop straight down to the ocean floor. That would find us our height. How deep is that? So we're going to just set up using sine, cosine, and tangent of this problem. So we need to identify that 30 is the hypotenuse. And since D is all the way across from 39, that's like the opposite. So we have opposite and hypotenuse. Think about which one that would be. Hopefully you come up with sine. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so sine of 39 would be D over 30. Since D is on top, we multiply. Be careful in the calculators when you multiply these two. Please type 30 times sine 39. That stops from having order of operations problems. And when you type that in, you should get what? Crunch those numbers. Hopefully you got 18.9. Now remember, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So you should have one decimal place. Number 5, a pole is 15.9 feet off the ground. A cable wire is attached to it and is anchored to the ground at an angle of 75 degrees. So it's anchored at 75. Here's my pole and here's my cable. So in case you have to draw this picture yourself, you can kind of get a representation of that. What is the length of the cable to the nearest degree foot? So we're finding this X value. So we need to go identify what we have again from perspective of 75. So I know that I have the hypotenuse across from the 90. Since 15.9 is right against 75, that is going to give you the adjacent side. So which trig function is this? I hope you come up with cosine. So it's cosine of 75 is the adjacent, which is 15.9, over the hypotenuse, which is x. Now, since x is on bottom, we divide. And you always want to divide by your trig function. So you put the normal number on top and you put your trig function on bottom. And you type that in the calculator, crunch, crunch, crunch. You should get 61.4 because, again, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. All right, pause and write those down if you need to. We're going to be moving on to problem 6. On problem 6, it says find the measure of angle A, round to the nearest degree. It looks to be that this right here is your C. And so when we go to do this, we're doing from the perspective of A. We have to decide what they gave us. Well, I know they didn't give us the hypotenuse, so that's my hint that we'll use which trig function. I hope you thought tangent, because tangent is the one trig function that does not have hypotenuse. So since 6 is across from A, this is going to be the opposite. Since 8 runs into A, this is going to be the adjacent. So opposite over adjacent would be 6 over 8. And when you don't have the angle measure, that's when you use the little tan -1 button in the calculator. So we're actually going to do tan -1, 6 divided by 8. Crunch those numbers. You should have got 49.9. I can't remember the number behind this, but it wants the closest angle, which is like the closest degree. If I can write, I can't. Okay, there we go. Which is like the closest degree. So the closest degree to that would actually be 50 degrees. If they ask you to take it to the nearest tenth, you could have put 50.0 possibly, but we're good on this. You know what? That is not right. Who didn't get that problem? I can't look at the right problem in my workout. That was a problem on the previous page. What did y'all get for your answer? Hopefully 36.9, and the nearest degree would be 37. I was like, something is wrong with that. There we go. That's better. Pause and write these down. Video's fixing to end.